anything else that you might be holding on to. Maybe just resting your hands on your thighs or on your lap. And just sensing your feet on the ground. Just feeling the contact of the feet with the ground. And just feeling the earth through the contact with the ground. Just a sense of holding that is present right now as we contact the ground. Sensing the support of the chair. Just sensing our own weightedness as we sit. Sensing the breath in the abdomen. Just feeling the breath as you inhale and you exhale in the belly. And then for a moment, just remembering something that brings you joy. Anything, maybe a flower or someone, a pet, a memory, just anything that brings a sense of joy. And then just being present to that sense of joy, however you might be in touch with it right now. And then slowly opening your eyes in your own time. Just looking around. And also just seeing if you want to just make contact with everyone here as we are sitting together. Maybe just a few people, but just making some contact. So that we are just not, sitting here in an impersonal way. Okay. So we'll talk about grief today, and we'll begin with a little poem. I'm just going to read it out and you can just let it land on you. I sit with my grief, I mother it. I hold its small hot hand. I don't say shh. I don't say it's okay. I wait until it is done having feelings. Then we stand and we go wash dishes. I'm reading it again. I sit with my grief. I mother it. I hold its small hot hand. I don't say shh. I don't say it is okay. I wait until it is done having feelings. Then we stand and we go wash the dishes. We crack open bedroom doors, step over the creaks, and kiss the children. We are sore from this grief, like we've returned from a run, like we are training for a marathon. I'm with you all the way, says my grief, whispering. And then we splash our face with water and stretch. One big shadow and one small. It's a beautiful poem by Calista Bushen. And as we hear this poem and it lands on us, just see what you're in touch with right now. Maybe some sense of a feeling or something in the body. Yeah. Perhaps as we listen to this poem, we all came in touch with some sense of sadness, some kind of sorrow, something that we hold on, which might be grief. So it's important to really recognize at the onset when we talk about grief that it is really something that we all have. It's something that is a very fundamental human experience, just like joy, which also we contacted in the beginning. It's not something out of the ordinary. It's not something exceptional. It's really a very basic part of human life, and which is why it also makes each of us very capable of holding space for anyone else who might be in touch with grief, because we are seated, we are rooted, we are situated in that sense of empathy that comes from our own experience of grief. It might be different from the others in terms of the actual experience, but we all know what it is to feel sad, to feel very deeply sad, to feel this kind of very deep sadness, which is grief. And that makes us all of us, anyone who's human, adult human, to be someone who can hold space for another. And that's how we kind of even approach this conversation. Yes, of course, there are specialists who hold space for grief in a particular way, but we are all in a way equipped just by our own human experience. So grief is a very, very human emotion. It's connected to loss. And it's not one particular thing, it's a whole range of feelings that we encounter, which we will talk about in the beginning. Grief is not just only sadness. It can be anger coupled with sadness, can be a sense of shock, it can be shame, it can be guilt, it can be fear, many things that come along with any kind of loss. And what kind of loss? Any loss that is of something that's important to us. So very typically we often talk about loss with respect to someone dying, which is of course a very big part and a very big kind of loss. But loss can come in our lives in many different ways. Yeah? Again, if we look into our own lives, we will know how many times, like for a child, there can be a toy lost, and there can be like this. I remember this just a couple of months ago, my 8-year-old daughter, she came home devastated because she had lost her balloon. And it took hours for her to settle down. Yeah? And it was a profound sadness that she experienced. And similarly, it may be a loss of a job, a loss of a home, a loss of a pet, a particular stage of life. Like many transitions can bring up loss. When people move homes after a marriage, or when there's a new job, or anything like that. Yeah? And also very important, loss of safety. Yeah? In many ways, we can encounter this deep absence of safety sometimes in our lives. Suddenly in a relationship, that certain kind of attunement feels like it's gone, and it can bring up a lot of sadness as well. So loss can come in many ways. And if something is important to a person and it's lost, then that grief is something that needs to be seen, felt, and validated. So it's not really like, yeah, this is correct grief and that is not correct grief, or there's no big deal, it's just a toy lost. It's not so much like that for the person who's experiencing the emotion. Yeah? And that's how we kind of look at grief. Again, there can be many ways in which grief can show up. These are some ways. There's just normal, ongoing, normal grief that we all are familiar with. Yeah, something that we might lose and we feel sad for a little time and then we kind of get over it. Sometimes there's a kind of dispute with a friend and that brings up something like grief, and it can then shift into something. There's also delayed grief. Sometimes an event can take place, an event that brings loss, but there may be not enough space for the person to experience grief. Maybe there are responsibilities or things like that. A person has to attend to many things. Yeah, and then they don't really feel the grief immediately. Yeah, sometimes they think they're not supposed to feel grief. Like, I know my husband often says that when he lost his father, he thought he shouldn't be feeling sad because now he was the son of the house and things had to be done. It's only much later that he actually discovered that, yeah, there is so much loss there for him. Also anticipatory grief, just knowing someone might not be there, or I'm going to move and that's going to bring loss, or complicated grief. Yeah, so complicated grief is often something that is coupled with many things that are kind of weaving into each other. The kind of loss we are talking about here, which is loss after suicide, is one very big kind of complicated grief, because it's not just the loss of a person, but there are many other things that come along, like guilt and shame and anger and maybe even fear of other family members committing suicide. We'll talk about that a bit more later. So there's complicated grief, and that can often be very prolonged because it has so many layers and dimensions woven that it's kind of much more difficult to move through it. And there is disenfranchised grief. Grief which is not recognized, it's not seen, it's hidden. Yeah. So a lot of the discussion in the morning about marginalized communities, much of their grief is also often this kind of grief. There are many ways in which people have described the grieving process, and one significant contribution in that direction has been this model by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And this model looks at 5 stages of grief, where the person who has experienced the loss first is in shock and experiences this kind of denial. And then that moves into some kind of anger, which also kind of might last for some time. And then there is this stage where the person's kind of bargaining, like, if only this happened, if only I got this back. And up to now, it's like really this sense that, no, this can't happen to me. And then that sort of lands into this deep sadness or depression, which is ultimately basically kind of just coming face to face that, yeah, this has happened. And eventually then it moves into a kind of acceptance, and the person can then have the sort of inner resources to really come to terms with this. So this is how Elizabeth Ross has described the grieving process. Yeah? But there have been other ways in which this process has been described. And if we look at our own lives, we might find different things that have come in our grieving journey. things that have supported us, things that have held us. Maybe for a long time, maybe for just one day, maybe for a phase of life or whatever. But this is not really the only way to look at how the grieving journey takes place. So we're going to take a few minutes to pause here and see from our own lives what has really helped us. And for that, I'm just wondering if some of you would like to just come into a little circle, because we don't have time for a conversation with everyone. So we're going to have a little conversation around what has really been supportive for us in our own grief, what has held us, and how's it been. So maybe some of us can come in the inner circle as you share, and many of the others can just observe, listen, and we'll find a way to kind of see whether what is shared aligns or differs with what is felt by others. So whoever would like to can join me in the inner circle, and others can come into this outer circle.
And so
anyone who would,
so we can move here.
So we'll just take before we begin, just again take a little pause, just sensing what's here for us. Maybe we are in touch with something that feels a little difficult, and that's okay. Just sensing our feet on the ground. Sensing the breath in the belly. And just seeing what feels okay, maybe in your body right now. Maybe just the contact with the ground feels good. It feels comfortable. Or another part of your body that feels okay. And also just acknowledging whatever else there is for you right now. Just maybe something is sad, and letting this place know that it's okay for it to be here. Not trying to fight anything. And then just opening your eyes as you feel okay. Just looking around. Just noticing maybe the lights or anything in the room that's nice to look at. Some faces. Yeah. Okay, so what we are going to do here is we have some of us here in the inner circle with whom we'll explore a question. And others are sitting here listening and holding space. Yeah? Like we were talking about it, it was mentioned in the conversation earlier this morning, how listening in this very present way is very supportive for people who might even be in very acute distress. So just right now here, as we listen, we can practice that. Yeah, just listening, being present with just this non-judgmental, whatever the other person's sharing is welcome. Yeah, just listening and offering your presence. And we'll thank you everyone for being here in this circle. So we'll just take some time to see. Maybe you can remember a time when there has been some grief in your life. Whatever feels comfortable for you to recall. And just see what was supportive for you. What held you in that time as you were in this grief or sadness or however you experienced it.
Sure.
Last few minutes I've been thinking about it.
You can just hold it a bit closer.
Last few minutes, as Madam started the session, I started thinking about the grief. We have all lost people, so we know what it is all about. But what I am going to say now is something very different. I have only one daughter. And for a parent, the daughter getting married is a very happy moment. But for me, 8 years back, when my daughter got married, I still feel a part of me is gone. I still feel many things I cannot do. I miss out on so many things just because she's not around.
Yeah.
I'm happy for her, she's happy. But still, somewhere, I strongly, still today, feel that a part of me got dead the moment she got married. And I still feel that sometimes. I still feel guilty. I was reading these words and I was feeling, oh, okay, I also feel guilty. Openly, today I'm talking about it. Till now, I did not talk about it because I felt it was something shame. That I should be happy for my daughter, which I am. But at the same time, when I see myself, I feel, oh, I'm not doing these all things in my life because she's not there.
Yeah.
I'm not cooking some dishes in the kitchen because she's not there. I'm not meeting people because she's not there. I'm not going to the park because she's not around.
Yeah.
So this has been my grief. I had taken 15 days leave from my job when she got married. I had to extend for next 15 days because I could not go back. But when I told her this, she said, go back because you're going to find your students there and they are going to make you feel very good. Start writing what you're missing. So journaling helped me overcome some of the things.
Yeah.
Some of the things I have still not. Talking to people, I avoid. Somewhere I feel people are going to judge me. People are going to think I'm very weak. People are going to, my husband works in the field of mental health. And so I've been standing with him for the last 37 years as a very strong support system. But if I speak about all this, then whole of the support system will just fall. So I've not been talking about all this.
Yeah.
But I'm happy today because you gave me a chance to speak. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Just this deep grief for you as your daughter got married. Just this something in you is dead. That's how you felt it. Yeah. Maybe we can just take some time to acknowledge that right now. And also what you're sharing is all these other voices that were there about how, it's not supposed to be like this for you. And yet there's this place in you that feels this loss deeply, even today. Yeah. And also you talked about how journaling was something that helped you. Is it something you want to talk about a bit more? Like how, once you journaled, how was it for you as you did that?
So, as I said, I've been teaching in a college undergrad students of between age group of 17 to 22, 23. After her marriage, I started becoming very close to my students. Maybe I was missing her a lot. Every day afternoon, after lunch, I'm used to taking a nap because I get up at 5 in the morning, so my day would start quite early. So I would, before taking my rest, I would write down what all happened today. And while I started writing, somewhere some things that I was missing was coming. But making friends with my students also helped me understand they were suffering more than what I was suffering. So somewhere, because others are suffering more than I'm suffering, my suffering gradually somewhere started going at the back of my mind. That is why I just said, when I saw that grief today in the morning, from there onwards, that word is lingering in my head. Yeah. What is it all about? Yeah. So, first thing that helped was writing. Whatever I was, in a day I was happening, I was writing. Whatever my students were suffering was also I was writing. I did go for counseling sessions, but I felt that was not helping me. I started exercising regularly after that. That helped me a lot. Yogasan and walking helped me a lot. Walking helped me a lot because while walking I started telling myself that iske baad akele jana hai. She's not there to hold my hand. So I have to walk all alone myself. So walking helped me a lot. And journaling, I don't know, because I did not learn the art. I was just writing down, scribbling something or the other. And gradually, I think somewhere while writing, gratitude came in.
Yeah.
I started thanking everybody, even the people who are not around me anymore. I started thanking them for the relation that I shared with my daughter. Because I said my relation with her was strong because my parent-in-laws told me few things when she was born. And I kept doing those things with her. And maybe that is why my and her relation was very good. And you know what? The way I suffered, I think she also must have. And I don't know, but being grateful helps a lot. Gratitude helps a lot. Helping others helps a lot. I think all such small things help me a lot. I still continue to practice these few things every day. So.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just looking for your name, if that's okay.
My name is
Sandhya. Yeah, thank you, Sandhya, for sharing your story. Yeah, and just how even today, as you still hold that loss, you've also seen how so many things have come to you. They've come to you as support, and they've held you. And this deep gratitude that you are in touch with. Yeah. Thank you. We just take a moment with all of that, and especially thanking that sad place in you that has shown up today.
My daughter is a mother today. But I still pray to God that she should have the same relation with her son, the one I shared with her.
Yeah.
I don't want her to be a different mother to her child, because the relation that I share and I'm sharing with her, very strong. I want her also to have similar relationship with her son growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, this deep bond that you still feel with her. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Sandhya. And as we listen to Sandhya, we can again just take a moment to check in with ourselves. As we listen to another, we also listen to ourselves. Yeah, just acknowledging what might be there for us. Just sensing the breath. Did you also want to share? Yeah. Maybe you can just introduce your name.
Yes, I'm Shruti, and I am a mental health professional. I'm a counselor and a therapist. Been doing this for the last 17-18 years now. Um, but the rule of the game is you help others and you forget to help yourself. That is where I am today. And I think I did not, when I came to know which sessions, I said I've heard about suicide and everything. And then I saw grief, exactly what Sandhya was talking about. And I said, so they were explaining, these are the speakers. I said, I don't care. I want to go for grief, whatever it is. Yeah, okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Listening to Sandhya, a lot of cascading thoughts. Because I also have an only daughter. And I have a very amazing bond with her. She's yet to get married. So I think you are giving me a preface of what I need to be prepared with. Because I come here since yesterday and she messages me, Mama, I miss you. And I'm like, what are you missing me for? So she said, Mama, that was just in that moment. Yeah, I said, okay. And so we share a very nice, amazing bond. I mean, I don't even have to explain it. I think it is there. And so I think when you listen, and especially right now when I'm listening to you, I feel that there is always that knowing that we have, I know. And in my growing up age, in my school, college days, I always used to have this phrase, I know it. I know, mala mahiti hai, And later on, people used to tell me that, you can't know everything. And that hit me when I started this practice of mine, that I don't know. It's very difficult to admit that you don't know something. And that is how it happened with me when I lost my mother 3 years ago. That entire life, when she was alive, we had a love and hate relationship. She was a super control woman. And I was idolizing her like God. And the moment she left, I felt that vacuum. But then I decided that no. The audacity was, I actually told people that I am relieved that she's not there. And I could not believe my words. I mean, what the hell are you talking about, But it was about that mental pressure that I was talking about, that I needed to be perfect. Seeking approval from her was the only thing in this entire world that mattered to me. Everybody else used to give me feedback, you're doing this good, blah, 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 everything, every single person. But for me, my mother's tick mark was always, the ultimate. And when she was not there, I suddenly lost interest in anything and everything related to being perfect. I said, kya hoga? Kuch nahi hoga. It's okay. Now I don't need to be perfect. It was a decision which I took. And so perfect daughter does not cry. Does not grieve. And in the last 3 years, I put on almost 20 kgs. And people are telling me, what are you doing? What is happening? I mean, why are you putting on so much of weight? And there is shame. There is a lot of shame.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Friends and family tell me, you are helping so many people. And you can't help yourself. As in, nahi na, पैरों के नीचे ज़मीन दिखाई नहीं देती ना. That's the problem. You can see where others are standing. You can't see where you are standing. And the moment I started thinking about this, I realized that I miss her like anything.
Yeah.
I'm missing each and every element, for anything, any event, any incident happening, the first thing is, मम्माला phone करायचा आहे. And she's not there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know whom to call. Because she was so much part of my life. So that part has completely shut off. And when she said right now, I think, this is a very beautiful idea of a circle, because I know the power of circle. So I feel that I think what I'm not doing is what Sandhya was sharing. And I resist. My resistance is so strong that people tell me to do journaling and I just say no. I am just so stubborn. I am just so stubborn about it. And I know why it is, because I think I will not stop once I start journaling. Because there is a lot of it. Then my daughter gives me an idea. She said, Mom, you make voice notes. Just talk. Just put on your phone and talk. But then I feel no. Perfect, daughter. So she has to do something which is the right way. So I think one biggest take home for me probably will be with what Sandhya has shared right now. I think I'll start journaling. Because there is so much pent up inside me, and I think that is exactly the weight, which is what I'm carrying in my body, which is what was also shared with Irina earlier, and the trauma and the not letting go.
Yeah.
And not letting go, that means you are, holding on to it. So when you hold on to it, your body is holding on to all those memories and the sorrow.
Yes.
So I feel that it is, because honestly, to be very, very frank, suicide related conference was not something that I thought that I will attend. Because I listened to clients coming to me during COVID. I have had almost 8 to 10 clients coming to me in the age of 25 to 30, which were, about to commit suicide. They felt like committing suicide. One of the clients had come to me with a, knife cut over here, and he said, see what I tried to do yesterday, that kind of stuff. And I've gone through these kind of things, and I said, do I want to again listen to all that, negative thing? Because day in, day out, I listen to the same thing. But I said, no, I need to understand where is the world going, because me sitting in my healing studio and doing the work is a very small, minuscule part of me, and I don't know what is happening outside. I thought that I need to spread my wings. I need to know what and where, and so the listening support was something which is such a beautiful thing. And there is something which is talk therapy also, which I heard earlier with one of my clients. So I feel that all of this is what every therapist and counselor also needs to have, a peer group, the PP that we're talking about, Yeah. So talking about, two counselors sitting with each other and, sharing. Because they're also humans. You need to vent it out. You need to get it out of your system at any given point in time.
Yeah.
Because something like what Sandhya said, if it triggers me, then there will be so many clients coming. And then somewhere or the other, something gets triggered in you, but you're not aware.
Yeah, and if I may come in there, Shruti, what you're bringing in is something very important, that very often when we are listening to someone else, something in us gets touched as well, something that might be carrying some similar kind of pain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and thank you for also talking about
that poem also triggered me so much. Because the second sentence is, I'm mother.
Yeah.
There's the mother in there, and so that triggered me so much. And so, I mean, somewhere, and I just want to say to Sandhya that when you cry, you're not weak. When you cry in front of so many people, you're not weak. You have the strength of the, as equivalent to Everest. So never feel that you are weak. Never.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Shruti.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
so much, everyone.
Yeah. And also, both of you, what Sandhya and Shruti, what comes up as you both talked is also how grief doesn't have to look a particular way. We all have a sense that, when there is a loss, grief will be like this. Somebody will be very sad or crying a lot, and then it'll get over. But it's not necessarily like that. Each person grieves in very different ways. Some ways are more visible, other ways are more hidden.
So what I
And-
did after my mom passed away
Yeah.
was I started working
Yeah.
a lot.
A lot.
I took in all the assignments. I'm also a corporate trainer.
Yeah.
So I took in so many assignments and for me what happened was August my mom passed, 2022, and September my daughter went for her post-graduation in UK. So in 2 months, there were two closest of close people
Yeah.
parting.
Yeah.
If you ask me today, I don't know how I dealt with it.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I just started working.
Yes.
So my coping mechanism was work. And I have always enjoyed my work because it is not work for me. It is always very, very passionate,
Yeah.
habit for me.
Yeah.
So, but then I somewhere put all that sorrow, that grieving, that missing out, everything under the carpet.
Yeah.
And I think that carpet has become very big today.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because it is affecting me health-wise a lot. So it is a big, big, big red flag, huge red flag for me,
Yeah.
which I need to
And
deal with.
maybe you can just take a moment to acknowledge that for you, Shruti, right now.
Yeah.
The sense that maybe you didn't grieve in the way you needed to then, and something in you feels that. Yeah, just taking a moment to acknowledge that for yourself. Like this carpet feels really big for you today. Yeah. And while there may be many other pulls in life that tell us we have to move on, sometimes it's really important that we take that time to just be with ourselves and just acknowledge this big carpet or big pain that might still be sitting. Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay for it to be there, even if it's been many years since there has been this loss. There's no real timeline for grief to end. There's no right time frame for it to be there. It's just, it takes its own time, it has its own form. And it's very important that we really validate that. We really acknowledge and honor that within or in another person. Yeah. And also something that comes up as Shruti and Sandhya both share their experiences is this, even though this particular process talks about this linear stage-wise movement of grief, there's another view to grief, and it is similar to what you're both bringing in, that it's not like there was grief that day and today it's gone and in between there have been anger, shock, etc. But that there are moments or phases of being in this deep sense of loss, and then there are moments, and then there are moments or phases in life where we are trying to rebuild our lives, so there are kind of this loss-oriented and restoration-oriented responses of our system, is how I would see it. And that they are woven with each other. It's not meant to be linear or in a sequence, going back and forth, interspersed. It's like really like a carpet where there are threads of pain and there are threads of resilience that work together. And some days the pain is more, and another day the restorative sense is bigger. And people do different things. Like when there is that loss-oriented time, or whatever, the sense of loss is bigger. We spend time with that loss. Yeah? Maybe we grieve, we cry, we journal, we talk to people, but we engage with that loss. And then there are times when we are doing other things to move away from it, to start rebuilding, like what you're bringing in, which is that I just went to work because that's what you needed to cope. And so any of the responses that we might have had or someone has had when there is grief, which may not look like actual grieving, very often we call it the person's in denial or is avoiding it. It's not quite that. It's just that there is that innate wisdom in each person which moves them in a particular direction. Because that system, that person deep within doesn't feel enough resource to meet that loss like that. So it's very important to honor however you might have responded after the loss. That was what you needed for life to move on. And that's what you knew best. Yeah. And yet, it isn't so that because we didn't grieve then, that we cannot grieve now. So, like somebody said, I think so it was Dr. Sheshadri who said that even in an adult or a later time in life, in an attuned way, we can feel met.
What Dr. Sheshadri had said, that's exactly how it happened with me, because when I was born, my mom had a thrombophlebitis, and so she was bedridden for the next 9 months, 10 months. No? Okay. So my mom, she was bedridden with thrombophlebitis once I was born. I was a cesarean baby, and then after that, so she was bedridden almost 10 months, I think. So for me, that attunement was also not there. And so with my therapy work, I've done a lot of work with my the inner child work and the fetal thing also. But even then, I mean, all said and done, it's not there, So that was also another missing part which I have. So I think I tried to compensate after that by, attaching to her. But she did not let me get attached, to be very honest. I wanted to attach to her, but she was very practical, very, very, boundary-oriented person, completely. So.
Anyone else also who might want to bring in? Also, if more people feel called to share, there are still 3 more chairs vacant here. And also what we can do is, if right now there's space, so you don't have to. But if more people want to, then you can make space for them.
Yeah.
It will be nice if you come in. And also if you can share your name.
Hi, so I'm Rohita, and I volunteer with Sathi Hath Badhana and work with their listening post initiative. So I'm thinking of the loss-oriented grief that you were speaking about, the missing your old life. So I go through that sometimes because, I'm very happy in my life and very happy that my kids are doing well, but I sometimes feel like, I brought up my children to have, brought them up and now I don't have them with me. So
Yeah.
that's something like what she said.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 boys, but I have a super bond with them, like really close. But they are not with me.
Yeah. They're not there right now. They're
Yeah.
not with you.
So that sometimes really, like, no matter how happy I am, it brings me down. So when I'm alone, then I'm thinking of my own life. And, I'm thinking of all the good times and, like, so much fun we had together.
Yeah.
That's the grief.
Yeah. Yeah. That old life and the fun
I mean,
that you used
this
to
is like a
have.
happy grief that I'm not. I just feel like we have such a good and happy bond, but they're not with me.
They're
So
not
I
with
miss them so much.
Yeah.
On a day-to-day basis. I mean, I'm in touch with them on a daily basis. One is abroad, one is in Mumbai. So it's not like I'm not in touch with them or they don't talk to me, but just having their presence is what I miss.
Just having their presence. Yeah.
So that's like a different grief, but it's grief.
It's grief.
Yeah. I've been able to cope with my loss of my father's death pretty well because I'm the only child and he passed away in like very, very sad circumstances because his cancer was diagnosed and within a month he died. So, but I thought that would really be like a bad thing for me to come out of. But I think because I was the only one for my mother who's also ailing and she's on dialysis thrice a week. I had to be that strong support system. So that grief, I think I got over very fast and I'm very strong about that. But this
Yeah.
grief, I can't. I miss them.
You miss them. Yeah. And maybe right now it's okay just to acknowledge that, Rohita. And maybe just seeing as you share about this grief, how are you sensing this in the body? What are you in touch with?
Yeah. It just makes me feel sad.
Yeah. Just makes you feel sad. Can you take some time with this sadness? Just letting it be here,
Yeah.
allowing it. Just knowing that it's really okay for you to feel this kind of grief of just missing your kids. Maybe as you do that, see if it feels, yeah. And maybe just supporting yourself with your hand, like just having this hand on the heart as you acknowledge this sadness. That's all that sadness really asks for, just to be allowed, just to be accompanied. What's here, Rohita, as you do that? What's here for you? How are you? What are you feeling right now?
Yeah. Feeling relieved feeling good that I spoke about it because I normally don't. Like I don't want to show this side of me to anybody, and especially not my children because I don't want. They are the kinds who would probably be worried then.
Yeah.
So I never talk about it to them, but yeah, it just feels that you spend so much time bringing them up, and then when you feel like now they should have been there with you, they're
Yeah.
not there with you.
Yeah.
That's it. So
What happened with me, I was reading that grief. I just thought about my first loss of my father. When I was reading that word grief, I first thought about the loss of my father, Then loss of my father-in-law, who was just too good. Then loss of my mother-in-law, again another support system. Then mother. But I just thought while going through this word that I have, coped up very nicely with all that loss of mine. But this loss of, not loss exactly, but missing her too much, I felt that's a grief. So far I had not labeled it anything,
Actually,
अभी तक मुझे कभी ऐसा लगा नहीं था कि ये ग्रीफ है, लेकिन मैं जब यहाँ बैठ के उसके बारे में सोच रही थी, then I thought, नहीं, this is grief.
Same.
This is what I'm going through.
I didn't think that was grief, and like just now when I read that missing your old life, I thought, oh, even I'm going through this, because I do miss it so many times. Like when I'm alone and I think, oh, we used to do this, we used to do that, like see a movie, a scene, and we used to sit and watch movies together. We've had so much fun because my husband was away a lot, so I was like a single parent to them whenever he was not around. So we've had fun together. We've, really, really had fun together. So that's what I miss. So I miss my old life. Yeah. Though I've coped up well with after they've gone, but it's something that doesn't go away. Yeah.
I should move in now.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and that's like again what you're saying. Just knowing, seeing this pain as grief, just giving it that sense of, yeah, I see you, and this pain is grief. Just validating it. It's really important, and it doesn't matter what that grief is coming from. And also the sense that what Rohita you brought in, which is I'm coping well and yet it is there. And they can really go together. It's
like sometimes I feel like, I'm there for my mother. I feel like I'm there for my mother even now on a day-to-day basis. Like, she's otherwise she's okay, thank God, but she has to go through dialysis, so I'm with her most of the time. So I feel like I'm there with her, then why can't my children? That anger sometimes also comes in for me, So that is also something which is so silly, but then I feel like, c'est la vie, that's life. Can't do anything about it.
Thank you.
And I'm also wondering how it is for others who are listening, just seeing if there's something that anyone would like to share or ask. Yes, please come.
I'm Nupur. So, like the three of you have shared, the loss of your children moving away. I'm the child who moved away for studies. So right now, I'm just thinking of my mother and like her grief, because I remember I was in 11th grade when I decided that I would go study somewhere else for bachelor's. And she started crying then only. And like for 2 years when I was still at home with her, she used to cry just thinking about me going away. When I moved away, I did not struggle as much as she did, I think, because I kept busy with college and stuff, and a lot of things were happening in my life. So I don't think I struggled as much as she did from me moving away. So right now, I'm just feeling that empathetic grief for her. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Nupur.
Thanks, Nupur. Yeah. Yeah, let's just take a moment with all of that. A lot's been shared, and maybe again just feeling the sense of the ground under our feet. Maybe seeing if you need a stretch. It's always good to give the body a little stretch. And seeing what feels okay as we also hold space for each other, just being in touch with something that feels restful, comfortable. And if there's more, we are welcome to share. There are two of you as well who have been sitting. Okay, would you like to? Yeah. You want to ask a question? Come in. You can come in. Yeah.
So my name is Vaishnavi. I'm coming from Kolhapur, from a very small city, and I am not that comfortable with English. So I will try. I hope you all won't mind. So sorry for breaking that zone. I am going to talk way different than these topics. So few minutes ago we saw types of grief, and one of them was anticipatory grief. So I just want to ask, at this point I am anticipating a grief, means the loved one I am with today, I think I'm sure I will not be with him in future. So at this point I am anticipating that grief. So what should I do? Like now, should I be prepared for the grief, or like plan to how to deal with that grief?
Yeah. Sorry, your name?
Vaishnavi.
Vaishnavi. Yeah, Vaishnavi. So you're talking about how you might not be with this person, and so there's some grief coming up for you. And just see, as you talk about it, how are you in touch with it right now? What are you sensing?
Thinking about the future itself makes me feel sad.
There's this sadness coming up, yeah. And just maybe we can just acknowledge it together here, yeah. Like really, just taking some time to be with this part that's feeling sad about not being with someone you really love in the future. Just as a way of letting this place know that it's okay to be sad right now.
So at this point, I just want to ask, what should I actually do? Like think of the future, or like enjoy whatever now I am having?
I don't know the answer to that, but what we can do is to at least acknowledge what comes up for us around that possibility. Yeah? So what comes to me is that maybe enjoying life and acknowledging that there may be pain are not really either or, but just that, yeah, it feels sad right now that it might not be, you might not be together, and is it possible to just meet that sadness, to allow for it? And then seeing how it is as you allow for that sadness, how you build a relationship with that sense of loss or a possible loss. Because like we are really talking this, and also what I really enjoyed in the session was this sense that resilience and distress are not really either or, they go together. And if there is something in us that has felt really distressed, it's also possible to turn to something in us that makes us move. Yeah, and when we can allow this sadness to show up, when we can make space to be with our pain, instead of fighting it or instead of kind of running away from it. And sometimes we have to do it with support. But as we build this connection with our own pain, it is possible for that resilience to show up. What makes it very difficult, grief feels really difficult, is because we feel we should not be grieving. Yeah? But if... Yes, it makes us feel guilty or shameful, yeah, because that's how society also has molded our ways of thinking, so it's all there. And yes, as we grieve, we might also come in touch with guilt, we might come in touch with shame, and we can hold all of that. And as we let that pain show up and hold it, acknowledge it, something begins to shift, which is our own capacity to live life meaningfully along with that pain. So yeah, I don't have a direct answer to your question.
I got
but
it better.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
Also, I would like to admit that this circle is really powerful and impactful. I was sitting there and thinking about this. I didn't felt the depth, but when I came here, that expression came deeply, very deeply. And thank you,
Yes.
everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You can stay. You don't, I mean, unless someone wants to come, you can stay. Yeah? Would one of you like to also share? You've been here and...
I'll not be able to articulate properly, but still I'll try. My daughter, she got divorced. Now, after that, she got married. I do have now 2 granddaughters also, but it's not a problem right now. But I just wanted to share the grief. When she came back to my home, at that point, I was knowing from inside that it's not her fault. But still, I can't prove it. So I was very much sad about it. At that time, my mother-in-law was there. She was a paralysis patient. She was sitting over there. I said, our bonding was very good. I just asked her, what should I do now? Because she has come back and the process is too much long, and what I should do right now, whatever I can do, I have done it. But still nothing is happening. So I was worried about it. But what she told me at that point, it gave me confidence. She said, you have done your part. Now he will be having some plan. And don't think that it's a bad thing. Something ahead will be happening. Something good plan will be there in her life. And really it happened. And afterwards, I stood in that moment and got over it. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Prachi. Thank you, Prachi. Yeah. Yes, just remembering that time and how difficult it was, and how just sometimes somebody's wise words can also bring a lot of strength. How are you feeling right now as you talk about it?
Relieved.
Yeah, relief. Yeah, thank you. Would you like to share?
I'm Tina. I'm from Bangalore. So I have something very different to share. Maybe it's a little confusing. When you live with grief your entire life, it sort of becomes a pattern. You expect it or you're mentally prepared for it. and you have no understanding why. So my oldest memory is when I'm 7, I was involved in a war. And I process this in my therapy also with my therapist. I remember in the middle of a desert, we didn't have food, and the Red Cross was distributing curd and cucumbers. And I remember going to a public toilet, and the queue was 5 kilometers. I was only 7. And I remember not going in because it was very bad, and I came in the middle of the desert. I looked up and said, God, help me survive this, and I promise I'll never crib in my life. And sometimes kids take things very seriously, you know. Everything else was very bad in life. I come from a dysfunctional family, so the bond you have with parents is something I've never experienced. And I lost one of those parents in a very miserable death. My dad was murdered. I have 2 mentally unstable siblings. So I constantly was going through this process of processing it. So things that helped me very early in life, I realized you need to learn to manage this because help is not coming. Now you have options to go become a junkie or fall in love or run away or elope. That's one way of looking at it. Thankfully, I had a good group of advisors who showed up in the form of teachers. And I wasn't a shy kid. I would go and say these problems to everyone, despite my family saying, don't talk about what happens home, though I had no clue what was so worthy enough to not share. And thank God for that. Right people came into my life at different points in life, and this attunement happened quite early. So if you don't have a mother, you have a teacher. If you don't have a father, you have an uncle. You don't have siblings, you have friends. So maybe in that process, the grief work started. But what literally changed my life was Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, which I was a fortunate person to read at the age of 16. That was my calling. I knew, okay, I'm going to go into this profession. So my life from then has been to figure out why was I blessed with a lot of these losses. There is definitely a purpose. And that purpose is perhaps to help somebody. While what happened to me cannot be undone, maybe it can help somebody. So I'm not a TEDx speaker, neither do I do anything valuable apart from therapy work that I do with my clients. But I do know that the therapists I work with or my peer group, they get a lot of strength when they go through difficult moments, because some of them say they think of me as somebody who has survived this. So when Raj was saying today morning that we thought if she couldn't survive, would we? I have a peer group who says if she has gone through all of this, man, we too will. And I think that's the only purpose of my life. So for me, grief comes in once in a while thinking of what would life be if I had normal family, if I had a loving childhood. And the only answer to that is I would have been an entitled, spoilt brat. So I'm grateful for what I am, and it's not ending. So as a parent today, I have a neurodivergent child, which made me a little upset thinking, oh, I thought this would end at some point in life, but it looks like you're on a fight with me. Okay, I'm going to take this very seriously. I will continue the fight. I wouldn't say I'm cool. There are days I wonder, am I being too optimistic, or is some part of my brain damaged that I'm unable to process that grief? But my therapist says I'm constantly a meaning-making person. So the only feeling I have is this longing for something that I could have had. I don't know where that fits, but I'm frankly happy.
Yeah, this longing for something that you could have had does come up, and along with that you also have the sense that you also feel happy. Yeah, and just acknowledging both, that there's this pain or this longing, and there is also the sense that I am happy. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, I think when you were talking, you brought in something about, if there wasn't a parent, there was a teacher or a friend who listened to you or who was with you in a certain way. And that's something that is really fundamental to grief work, any grief work, including and very much more so with suicide survivors, just being able to listen to them without a judgment, without an expectation of how they need to cope with the grief. Because like you shared, your own resource showed up, because maybe, like you were saying, there were people who met you in an attuned way, and so this sense of purpose, this meaning, this strength, something showed up for you, and that's something pretty important that we hold close in working with people, that we really trust that each one has their own deep inner resource, which they might not be in touch with because there is deep distress. But if that pain can be held in a supportive, allowing, compassionate, non-judgmental way, then it can bring up a possibility that the person will tap into that deep sense of inner resource, which might show up any which way for the person. But this way of holding space can really support that. Yeah.
So there's this sculpture. I don't remember the artist's name. I think it is Mariko Guzzi or something. It's the sculpture of a wounded healer. It's a body which is totally being stitched up by the woman herself. So this is a very powerful metaphor for me. A lot of us are in the space because we understand that pain, but we are also constantly working. So I remember the resistance to therapy, saying when nobody was there when I wanted, why the hell should I invest in it and listen to somebody? But when I started my own therapy work with my therapist, I realized even if you know it all, like she said, we need not know it all. And we also still need that person to witness us, a safe space to be witnessed. And this metaphor, this image, I have it as my screensaver. This person who is stitching yourself up, and it's a very powerful image that we are constantly working on our wound and we have to stitch ourselves up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and very much that we need that safe space where we feel witnessed. And as we feel witnessed, our own capacity to witness ourselves can also then be deepened. Thank you for including that. Yes. Okay, and maybe for now we can just bring this sharing to a close and just zoom out a little bit. Anything from the process that anyone wants to bring up, you're welcome to. Just, or a question or a reflection. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shireen. I do have a question. I'm wondering about, I don't wish to get more jargon here, but compounded grief. A lot of times one question comes to me is, whose loss am I actually grieving? And the secondary grief that comes with the loss of certain people. To sometimes also thinking about, as therapists, one of the things that we teach or learn also is vicarious trauma. And so much of it almost feels like vicarious grief because of losing certain family members, how the other family members also coped as a child and now as an adult. Yeah, just questions.
Just wondering, is it a question or are you just sharing that there is also?
My one question is, would it help if I knew exactly whose loss am I grieving? Because I know that I'm grieving everybody's loss.
Yeah.
Like there are elements here and there, but then I've also been living with it for quite a few years. So would it make more sense? Because I know there is unresolved work here for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of distressing events around those that
Yeah.
I've been experienced. So I'm aware of that. But would it help, or do I just keep processing and take it ahead?
Uh, Yeah. Sometimes it's easy to tell, sometimes it's hard. So I don't know if it really, and of course, when we know that we are just picking up something from someone, then knowing that helps for sure. But because then it's possible, we still have to meet what is arising in us as a result of what is happening to someone else. Then the lens is always, what is it that is getting evoked in me as I witness another's pain? Yeah? Because some part of our own pain is also perhaps getting evoked. But Sandy, you were also trying to say something here.
I think it's just as you are touching upon it, Harini, and what you brought up. Yeah, the question that often arises is, as we are working with others in their grief, listening to others, then I am, because I am empathetic, I am going to kind of be in touch with those feelings within me, right? If we have a way in which we can, like Harini has been doing, I think, throughout, of acknowledging that this is what is here for me, this is what is coming up in relation to what is being said. And this grief can be that grief that I'm carrying from years ago, which is mine, which is getting evoked in response to someone else's sharing. This can be the grief that I'm feeling because I am feeling very connected to the other, and I can feel their pain and I can sense it within me. Either way, I think you were also saying is that either way, it is here now. And so we can kind of try to figure out what happened, and that can help. But it's here. And can I have a way to acknowledge and be with it and allow it in the body with support and with the witnessing and with that, like you were saying, like a peer group, like we are doing right now as equals. Without judgment. I just wanted to.
Now, I am representing Ekalavya Foundation for Mental Health, and I just wanted to share some experiences. I conduct support groups of Shubhankars, that is caregivers. Over there, we are having a Project Phoenix, that is I am in the sense as a Ekalavya, I am collecting the stories from the persons with mental illness. So they share their grief and serious mental illness like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, like that. So whatever I collected from them, their stories. Hello. So whatever I understood from the dialogue with them is one thing, ki at least 50% of them whoever had that experience of personal mental illness, they came forward and formed some organization, or they became a volunteer and they came over their grief experience, and they are still continuing with that. So that is a learning for everybody. Whenever you work from others, that is you swartha, paramartha or parartha, you can say. Whenever you work for others, you are able to come out of your own old serious experiences. And the second one is spirituality. You may be from any religion, anything, but if you go in depth with those thoughts, you get your answers over there. That is, I talk about the thinking process. I'm not talking about the things which are told in, that is, someone is telling like that. If you just go through the scripts and if you pick up the thoughts, then one can come out of that grief. These are the two lessons which I acknowledged. Those people shared their stories and they only told ki these are the ways of overcoming grief. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and there is a whole range of things that can feel supportive, from journaling to spirituality to exercise, chatting with someone, having a support group, and it can be a whole combination of things. And slowly we begin to start seeing what really feels supportive. But what is really important is that we can really acknowledge that grief. Whatever route we take, the intention is not so much to push away the grief or to fix the grief, but to simply meet it because it's here. Anything more somebody wants to bring in? And sure, and then
just curious when I was seeing this. So we have grief in one side, and we have that recovery path also within us, this right side. So I have grief, I have a recovery, I go by that. Why is that some people can recover faster than somebody else? Is it something they learn in the process of life and so they recover well? So what we are talking here is about how we can help or help people to cope up things. Is there another way we train people that yes, you can cope up through certain mechanism? Like this lady, when she was sharing her experience, when she said when she had another round of grief, her son, I think son probably, when she said we'll be fighting back, because she had been through the process and her coping mechanism is completely different. Why is that happens? Do we call this as a resilience? Do we call it as a resilience, or can we build resilience? I'm a little bit curious.
yeah, we can support resilience. But I don't think we can really decide how much people can really, how they need to cope or how much they will cope, because there is so much that affects and influences how a person will cope. There are so many biological factors, just developmental experiences, the environment. There's a lot that goes into how we are made up. And if we believe in that way of thinking, then also what's not just happened in this lifetime, but other lifetimes, if we take that view. But even if we don't take that view, there is so much that influences how much we are able to access that resilience. So we hold the view that everyone can tap into their resilience. And in a way, people do. Even people who are really, really deeply in grief are resilient, because while they are in grief, they are making everyday life work. Even if I am crying as I drive the car to work, I am going to work. So there is a part of me that is showing up while another part of me is still feeling held by something. So it's also how we view resilience. Resilience doesn't have to look only one way. It is often like that for many people, but it is very often not like that for many people. Yeah? But when we can meet people in that way of very deeply meeting their pain just from this human acknowledgement of our common humanity, our common suffering. Like all these stories are different, and yet there is such a deep sensing of the other. There's such a deep feeling for the other person's pain. Just that much opens up a lot for somebody. And that's what people who work with volunteers who work with those who have suicidal thoughts, like very often they will tell stories about how somebody called on the helpline wanting to end their life, and just this deep being present, not trying to figure out their life, but just being present to their pain, and that person just goes over that moment and finds another response. So what is really fundamental is to be able to meet somebody without really holding the mandate that I have to build capacity or whatever, build resilience. We can loosen that mandate. Of course, there's a sense from a place of care that we want the other person to feel happy. But if we can loosen that and we can simply meet that person where they are, because it is life, and in life there can be pain. No matter how much I want that you should be happy, right now you are suffering, so can I just be with you? Because that's our deepest longing, right? That I don't want to feel alone in my pain. That I have someone who will see me in my pain. Which was also very beautifully articulated in how it's this belongingness is really what is felt because somebody is able to connect at that deep level. So belongingness is not saying you are my sister, I am your brother, so you belong to me, but when I can just feel you that way, you just feel belonged, and that's enough for resilience to or resource to show up, is how I see it. Yeah.
So when my mom passed away, the resilience or the grief, maybe why I was not able to come out with it completely was because I saw my father and looking at his grief and looking at his loss, 62 years of their married life, and he suddenly was completely lost. And because it's like he was immersed, he is still immersed in love with my mother, and he's just not able to let go. So for me, having been that resource and being resilient for my father, maybe, so when you asked that question, I was able to put it, the context that maybe I did not feel that it is the right time for me to grieve right now, because I have a father, of course I have my elder brother also, but then again my father connects to me emotionally more rather than my brother. And for him, I look exactly like my mother. I'm a replica of my mother. So when he sees me somewhere, he has that okay, and she's there, and with that empathetic tone. So for me, I needed to be strong. So I think that was something. So thank you so much for that question, because I feel that why I did not grieve or cry or show that I'm sad was because I had to stand up for my father. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. I just want to thank you, Harini, because how do we, this whole session is on grief and postvention. And how do we talk about grief and postvention? And one way is to just be in that and experience it, and experience what the holding, the space, the collective looks like, which is the only thing that I feel, the only thing that really, really supports us in that grieving process. Not to take away the grief, not to make it better, but just to sit with someone. Just to allow that and to be, and find something in us that trusts that through that you would find your way through it with no standard kind of protocol of it needs to look like this. But what is your way? What are you finding? What's supporting you? And so without an agenda, without some preconceived notion of just, like Harini was saying, in this very humane way to sit with someone. I was to talk on postvention, but postvention, that is when after someone, dies by suicide, and we know that it impacts so many people around. If there's one death, it's impacting so many others. What I find is what's really helpful is this kind of coming together and saying that I am affected, I am touched, this is what it has evoked in me, to allow for that collective sense of grieving. And that with suicide loss, it is the same process, but to know that the experience of it is also filled with a sense of guilt, filled with this why me, this continuous, like it happens with any sudden death, any sudden loss, this whole sense of shock, and this whole kind of thought process that sometimes almost goes like in a loop of, did I miss something? Was there something I could do? Why this? That happens also in when we experience other kinds of loss, right? That is sudden. And here we deal with more feelings, and even in that, what are we to say to someone who's grieving? Maybe there is nothing to say. And just a way to be and to show up and to give space, and especially when there might be not space for someone who has lost someone to suicide, because nobody is asking. Even more than any other death. And in any, just to leave us with a thought that in any kind of postvention work, postvention involves prevention. Because what it will also bring up is, especially in communities, in a school, in organizations, that after this kind of process of grieving, and it will be ongoing, like Harini is saying, there's no timeline, and different people will have different ways, and the grief may show up after a while also for some people. And while that is happening, the community also needs to sit together and say, I think maybe the question that we are holding in this conference, like, what do we need to pay attention to? Is there something within that we need to also shift, pay attention to? Can we make those changes? Maybe we need spaces like this. Maybe that's something. Maybe it is changing some policies, changing the way things are done in that situation, in that institution. Maybe listening more to people and seeing more and more people are talking about similar things that needed to be heeded. So in some work with organizations, that's what we've done in terms of really moving with them over at least a year to help them to find that ground and this new ground of something that is more supportive in the environment. And so that's the only piece I want to really bring in here. Yeah. And if you want to say anything, as maybe I have a song.
It was also very nice to hear the Romanian lady in the morning. In the morning session, the Romanian woman was talking about how people in Romania, because of the communist, did not question anything. See, we're sitting in India, we have so much of freedom. We can talk, we can do so many things in democracy, we don't understand. But this can be an issue. This was quite eye-opening for me in the morning. You know, that we don't question, we don't let our students ask us any question. We, as teachers, keep telling them, keep quiet, don't ask. We'll discuss this outside the class, but outside the class it is never discussed, correct? But it is so important to let people speak out, let people talk, let people tell what they're going through, correct? See, today's this session, if she had not allowed us to, maybe I would have still continued around that word called grief and kept thinking about what grief I have, correct? See, today I'm going to go back home and see my grief in a very different way, because around me there are other people who have other kinds of grief, correct? How she has suffered as a 7-year-old, I have not. How supportive family I had, she did not. But she's strong. She's strong. She's trying to be strong. She's trying to be resilient. This is what I learned here today. So thank you very much.
So many times, like as women, we can cry and show our grief, and we are more open with our tears or saying I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling like this. Men are not. Okay, so I wonder. I mean, I'm sure they have, but they can't show it. So how do you know whether they are grieving, and what do you do about it? Like, because I know my husband. He lost his father last year, but I have never seen him talk about his father or say that, oh, like it's 6 years on since my father has passed away. Every second day I'm talking about something that he used to do, or some memory pops up from somewhere, or some picture I keep take out and say, oh, I remember this day. But I have not seen him. So is he suppressing it, or is he resilient, like this gentleman said? I mean, I wonder, and I've spoken to him about it, but he says, yeah, I'm okay. But how okay is okay? Is it a gender difference between men and women, or is it people, person to person?
But maybe before that, before I'm also called to really invite this lens that suppressing and resilient, like how we are saying, is he suppressing or is he resilient? We don't know, but can we at least not see them as either or? That's important. We don't know what's going on for them, but even if somebody is holding back, doesn't mean that that person is not resilient. And if somebody is crying, also means that that he's or she's not resilient. So we do not really assign this notion of this person is resilient, this person is not resilient based on their behaviors. So that really just the sense that, yeah, this person is showing up in this way because that's what's working for them. It may not be how I think grief has to be responded to, but this person is showing up in this way. And especially as mental health practitioners, sometimes we might even come across people who have felt violent in their grief. And can we also hold the same non-judgmental stance to that feeling of anger that is there? So just that. But yes, men, please. Okay. So one last word for some person here.
No, it's just like so. In my family, we are two brothers. Okay, and even though like we've been given this. I won't say the same conditioning because my personality has turned out to be a little different than what his personality is. I'm very vocal about my emotions. He is not. That's how he has been conditioned. So that's his way of coping up. It's not like he's not resilient or I am less resilient just because I cry and he doesn't. And he considers crying as a weakness. He's like, "Arey sensitive ho gaya, main weak pad jaunga." So that's how he has been conditioning. So I feel somewhere conditioning plays a very important role in your upbringing. So yeah.
Thank you. And sorry to rush this, but we really need to close here. But we do want to take just a minute for a song so that we can close nicely together.
So I'll see how we can play it. And if it plays. No, but it's not playing. No, it is playing, but volume.
Where's your speaker?
From the phone also it's not playing. This was not the song, but the song that I wanted to play is not playing, but we have this one. Might be a good way to just remind us of how we can be with ourselves, and the more we are with ourselves, with this gentleness, we can be with others.
I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a baby child.
Thank you everyone, and thank you all, especially for sharing.
So much. Thank you.